Okay, so it has been 6 months since I upgraded from the Sony a6500 to the Sony a6700. I did make a 2 months in review video about this camera, but that was like back in October last year. So today I thought it would be a great opportunity to do another review video and see if any of my views have changed 6 months down the line from buying this camera. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a freelance videographer and hobbyist photographer. I have done loads of photography gigs, but video is kind of my main thing. And like I said in the old video, this review is from a videographer's perspective. So 4 months from making that review video and 6 months from actually buying the camera, have any of my views changed? Oh yes, I've had a lot more experience with this camera now, and I think it's safe to say that I've used it for pretty much everything. First things first, I am not being paid to say anything. I bought this camera with my own money, just thought I'd get that out of the way. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that I absolutely love about this camera. The grip. The grip on this camera is amazing. Comparing it to the previous a6000 range cameras, this is by far the best. It just feels so natural when you have it in your hand. There's no awkwardness. It's just really good. The speed. What I mean by speed is like just getting through the menu system and changing settings and all of that kind of stuff. It's just so clean, so quick. You don't have any kind of lagging issues or anything like that, like I did on the a6500. I know that camera came out in like 2016, so it's really old, and it has the old Sony interface. This camera has the new Sony interface, and yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air. I do have some things about the interface that I do need to talk about, which I'll get to later, but overall the speed is great, the interface is good, and that's all I have to say about that. Autofocus. The autofocus on this camera is just incredible. Like, it's incredible. It's unbelievable, it's incredible. Did I say it's incredible? It just locks onto that subject and it does not shift. It is fantastic. You can run, you can go behind things, it will know where you are, and it will keep you in focus the whole time. All the different options of autofocus is cool as well. You can do like birds, butterflies, planes, cars, people, all sorts of things. I don't really know how any of it works, but it's just awesome. Don't know about anyone else, but personally, I have not had a single issue with the autofocus, and touch wood that it does not go wrong now. Photos. This camera obviously takes incredible photos. It has a 26 megapixel sensor, which is the best sensor any a6000 range camera has ever had. I think the other cameras had like 24 megapixel, so this one is a bit of a bump up, which is nice. I'm loving all the colors coming out of the photos. I know that Sony Color Science has a bit of a controversial thing going on where some people love it, some people hate it. I personally really like it. But yeah, the photos are so clean, they are so detailed, and overall, loving the pictures coming out of this camera. If you just do photos and you have any of the older a6000 range cameras, is this camera worth upgrading to from that? I don't know, probably not. Maybe from like the a6000, because that's like 10 years old, but I don't know, maybe not from like the a65 upwards. I don't really know. The flip screen. The flip screen is wicked. I'm looking at it right now as I'm recording this video. By the way, this video is being recorded on the a6700 with the Sigma 16mm f1.4 and the 1/4 Pro Mist filter. So this is what the stuff looks like. This is what it looks like when you're filming. On my old camera, the a6500, I didn't have a flip screen, I just had like a tilt screen, and it was really naff, and whenever you recorded, it would dim, which was really annoying, especially on like a sunny day when you're trying to film and the screen is just dim and you just can't see what you're filming. Really annoying. I do have one negative thing to say about this screen, which we'll talk about later, but overall, yeah, the fact that we've got a screen that comes out to the side so we can see ourselves when we're filming is perfect. It's not perfect, but it's really good. It's definitely not perfect, but it's great. Video quality. Now this is where the camera shines. The footage that comes out of this camera is just incredible. This camera shoots 422 10-bit footage, so the file sizes are woo, but it's all worth it. The footage looks amazing. I have actually made a video about the best photography and video settings for this camera. Link in the description, or there's a card. Check that out. If you have this camera, or if you're gonna get this camera, save it because it's pretty useful. The slow motion in this camera is awesome. We get 4K at 25 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and 120 frames per second. 4K, 422, 10-bit. It's awesome. Now it does crop in a little bit when you're shooting 120 frames per second, but just stand back a little bit, you'll be fine. The low light performance on this camera is awesome. I don't know how many more awesome, nice, wicked, cool. What's one I haven't used? Awesome, wicked, nice, cool. Stunning, that's a good one. Stunning is a good one. The low light performance on this camera is stunning. Obviously it helps having a good lens for low light, like an f2.8 or under, but just in general, the low light performance is great, the slow motion is great, the footage overall is great, the colors, everything is just, it just is a very good video camera-ish. We're gonna talk a little bit about something in a bit that you probably know what it is, that might kind of make it not so good for video, but we'll get into that. If you don't know what that is, then you can look forward to it. Battery life. This camera has great battery life. I think on a busy shoot, you'll be fine with like 3 fully charged batteries. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're filming. If you're filming a lot of like slow motion, then you might need to like keep charging them, but I've never had to use more than 2 batteries on a shoot day. And last but not least, the size of this camera. This camera is a great size. It's so nice to have all of these features packed into such a small camera that is literally no bigger than my smartphone. It's light and compact and just fits pretty much anywhere. If you are enjoying this video, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also check out my Instagram and TikTok, because that is where I post all of my short form content. So if you want to see more videos from me, then check out those socials. There is a link in the description. Now, this camera obviously has its downsides. There is no camera out there that is perfect for everyone. So here are a few things that I hate about this camera that might be a deal breaker for you. Overheating. Now, you knew we were going to get to this point. In my 2-month review video, I talk about how I've not had any overheating issues in the 2 months that I had the camera. Lucky you. It's literally just overheated. That's so funny. It's just overheated. Oh, literally overheated as I was talking about overheating. So yeah, it is a little bit of a problem. There is a company out there called Ulanzi that sell fans that you can stick to the back of this camera, and it's to stop it from overheating. I've gone this long without buying one, but I think I might just need to get one, because then I can test it and compare it to it not having a fan, and we can see if it does actually work. But I've heard that it does fall off the back a lot, so I don't know, maybe I should just buy one and then we can find out for ourselves. Now, the overheating, yeah, it is a bit of a problem, and it's such a shame because this camera is just so incredible, but what good is it if you can't use the features because it's overheating? I guarantee, you know, since it's just overheated now, it'll probably overheat a few more times and I'll have to keep putting it in the fridge. I'm not lying, I put it in the fridge. You shouldn't put cameras in the fridge. You put food in the fridge and milk. You don't put cameras in the fridge. But it's like, if I buy this little fan, you know, is that going to change everything? So I guess I'll need to do it and find out. It definitely helps if you have the flip screen out, even though mine is now and it has just overheated, but it would have overheated ages ago if it was flipped in. So it definitely helps. There are things you can do to prevent it from overheating, but yeah, it is a bit of an issue that this camera has. So I guess stay tuned and we'll see how we can overcome it. I'm going to buy the fan. I think I'll buy the fan. Shall I buy the fan? I think I'll buy the fan. Flip screen. Now, I know I said the flip screen was amazing. It was in my good list, but there's just one tiny thing that I don't like about this screen that I have found to be really annoying, and that is that it doesn't rotate all the way around. If you want it to rotate forwards, you have to rotate it backwards all the way for it to be pointing down. I don't know, it's just really annoying. And I've been with a client or with a colleague and that will be looking over my shoulder and I'll be like, oh yeah, have a look, and I'll try and tilt it to show them and it just doesn't go that way and it's just annoying. Yeah, get a monitor, I know, I will, but it's just something I thought I'd mention. Glitches. This camera has some really bad glitches and it is really annoying. I really want it to get sorted out in the software updates, so I am checking constantly to see if there are any. I will have a V90 SD card in the camera, then I'll go to record slow motion, and then I'll get an error message that says, well, you can't record slow motion, you need a V60 card or higher, even though I have a V90 installed. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I find that I have to take the battery out, take the card out, and try again, and then eventually it works. This doesn't happen all the time, but it just happens sometimes. It happens in the moments that you kind of can't miss, and it has messed things up a few times for me. I really need it to get fixed. I'll probably get in contact with Sony about it. I'll try and message them, I don't know. But it's bad. I don't know if anyone else has had these issues. If it's just mine, I don't know. But yeah, it has messed things up a few times for me, and it is not good. Also, switching between the dials from mode 1 and 2 sometimes just doesn't work. I've got my custom buttons and stuff. Dial 1 is just normal 25 frames per second, and then dial 2 is 60 frames per second, and then dial 3 is 120 frames per second. If I want to flick between them, sometimes it doesn't change and it then kind of seizes up, and then I'll try and turn the camera off and it will still be on even though I've turned it off. It just glitches, just overall just needs some bug fixing. There are just some bugs in this camera that need to be sorted out. And I think these issues will be sorted out. I think maybe if people complain about it enough, maybe they'll fix it. I don't know, but I'm gonna try and get in contact with someone from Sony just to see what they have to say about it. The Creator app, it just doesn't work. I know it's not specifically for the a6700. I use my phone sometimes as a monitor if I need to, and I'll connect my phone to the camera and then it'll just disconnect, and it just happens over and over again. I know a monitor would just solve all these issues, but I have a phone and it should work. I don't know, it just annoys me. Don't get me wrong, when the app works, it works really well. You can focus, you can zoom, you can do all sorts of things with it. It's a really, really good app when it works, but it doesn't most of the time, and that's annoying. Now, I know we just talked about all the bad things about this camera, but overall, it does slap. It is a truly magnificent camera. The downfall really is the overheating. If you can manage it somehow by maybe getting the fan, or if you live somewhere cold, then it's not going to be so much of an issue as it would be if you were to live in somewhere like California. Then yeah, it's pretty rough. I guess the question is, are all of these downsides a deal breaker for you? I love my Sony a6700 and I will continue to use it for all of my work. I have made a lot of videos about this camera, like best photo settings, video settings, lenses, accessories, all sorts of things. So have a look on my channel. If you need any of them, they're all there for you to watch. If you want to get this camera, there's a link in the description to where you can buy one. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you found it enjoyable. Have a great rest of your day or evening, and I'll see you in the next video.